Representative, welcome back to the program. Lay out the mechanics for us. Explain what the current law is when it comes to primary voting and the idea you have to change that after what we saw happen in Dallas and Williamson counties.
Yeah, so right now, both parties within a county, and by that I mean the Democrats and the Republicans, have to agree to do countywide voting. And if one of them says no, then the other party is forced to go to precinct level voting as well. And that's what happened in Dallas and Williamson County. It was the Republican Party in this case, in both those counties, that said they wanted to go back to precinct level voting, and that forced the hand of the Democrats. And as we saw, it was a disaster with voter access on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. So we just want to make sure that one party doesn't get to dictate what another party does. This isn't about supporting Republicans or supporting Democrats. It's about letting each party be accountable to their voters, because when you're in the other party, you don't get to vote for the leadership across the aisle for party level leadership. And so there's no way to hold them accountable.
Explain what would happen, though. So if this passes, and let's say, Democrats in Dallas County decide they don't want to hold a joint primary with Republicans, what will this new law, if it passes, mean for Dallas County Democrats? Can they hold countywide voting on their own in a primary, and Republicans can hold countywide on their own?
It's exactly what we're looking for, is to allow one party to not be able to dictate the other. So if the Democrats want to do countywide voting, and if the Republicans want to do precinct level voting, they'll be allowed to do that on their own accord.
You've already spoken to Republican leaders about this. You've said you've talked to the Secretary of State, which of course runs the elections overall, oversees the elections in this state here. What kind of reaction have you had?
It's been positive, because once people understand that one party gets to dictate the actions of the other party, they see why that shouldn't work that way. And so I feel very confident that if we can keep this conversation going, if people don't forget how bad it was on primary election night, that we'll be able to pass this, simple legislation and make sure that parties get to make their own decisions and that party leadership is accountable to their voters.
In Dallas County, the GOP chairman, Alan West, has reportedly said, listen, that may have not been the best decision. Let's go back to, these joint primaries here. Is that lesson not learned? Is there a need for this law?
I think if we don't codify this law, that we could see this happening again, even as Alan West is making the right decision by the voters to walk back their mistake from the primary. You're still seeing opposition with his own party about it. And so if we don't change the law, and if he loses a vote that he's having to kick him out of office, we could see this history repeat itself in the Dallas area in the future. We need to codify this law and make sure that if the Republicans want to do it, fine. When you're a Republican primary voter, you go and you get to vote for your party leadership, you get to hold them accountable for their actions. But as a Democrat in Dallas, you don't get to hold Alan West accountable for his actions. And so that's why this law needs to change.
I know all this is early, as you've only announced this a few hours ago, but have you had any pushback from anyone?
I haven't had anyone push back yet. I think people think it's a practical decision to say, your party do it the way you want and our party will do it the way we want. It's great when we work together, when we can find common ground, but we should not be able to control the other person. I think a lot about Lubbock County, a very red county, the first one to implement countywide polling. If the small group of Democrats wanted to mess with the Republicans, they could say, we want to go to precinct level voting and force their hand right now. It shouldn't work that way. We should all be fighting to increase access to the ballot box, and we shouldn't have the chaos at the end because one party decided to make a change at the last minute.
Representative, what's your message to voters on this? Because we heard from so many on primary election night who either showed up somewhere where they couldn't vote or couldn't get in. There were all kinds of issues. What do you want to tell voters?
Well, and I also listened to the Williamson County Commissioner's Court hearing where we saw a lot of upset Republican constituents go and complain to the court about how this happened. My message is this: we saw the chaos. We're hearing you, and the leadership in the Capitol are going to fix this problem next session. We're going to pass a bill that at a minimum says you will have a say in how your party decides to do this by holding your party accountable at the ballot box.
Before I let you go, I do want to ask about an ongoing issue there at the Capitol where you are right now, the quorum break, the fines for that when you guys went to St. Charles, Illinois this past summer. What's the latest with that? Because I think the last I had heard from leadership was that Democrats are still trying to negotiate some of these fines here. Are any fines going to ever be paid, do you think?
Look, we'll see how it all plays out. There's going to be a hearing on Friday. I'm planning to be here at the Capitol for that. I'm one of the people there attempting to fine. I'll tell you this, I don't agree with these fines. I was doing what my constituents wanted me to do. I was serving them by being in Illinois during that time. And I think if they didn't agree with that, they could kick me out of office at the next election. My constituents support me and I was serving them. If the fines happen, they happen, but I think they're unjust for what we're doing right now.
When it comes to these quorum break fines for breaking quorum last year, any chance do you think that this spat ends up in court, some legal action filed over this?
I think there's always a possibility of some of this going to court, but I think for the most part, this is a House matter that should be handled at the House level.
Representative, always good to see you. Thank you for the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.